Okay, y'all talked me into it. I told y'all the only way I could do it is if I showed you in a video, because there's really no way to write down that I thought would be effective on how to make a gumbo. As we say down here, first you make a roux. I'm not going to cover how to make a roux. There's too many YouTube videos out there that'll tell you how to do it, and if you don't live around here, you don't have the luxury of buying it by the jar as we do. Your basic ingredients, pretty easy stuff. Onions, bell peppers, parsley, green onions or onion tops, garlic, salt and pepper, cayenne or red pepper, roux. And of course you'll need water. And we're going to get into that in just a second here. Okay, you're going to need a gumbo pot. Now, if you folks don't have a gumbo pot, I'm sorry for you, but I guess you could use a stock pot. Alright, I'm just saying. Get yourself a good thick one if you have it. A thin one will work, but if you use a thinner pot, make sure that you pay close attention to what you're doing, because the roux will tend to stick to the bottom of the pot. Alright, I'm going to ask you to bear with me, and I'm very intentionally not giving you exact quantities of ingredients, and there's a reason for that. Now we do a lot of stuff on about, and you're using about this much. You're going to make it look kind of this way, and it's going to kind of have this consistency. I remember asking my grandmother a long time ago when she was teaching me how to make makshu, and how do you make this? And she said, Shad, you're going to have to come over and I'm going to have to show you. And that's what she did, and she had to demonstrate it to me so that I understood what she was doing. And it just didn't go with the old half a teaspoon of that and a teaspoon of this and whatever. It's really kind of an art. Okay, let's talk about how much roux we're going to use. Pay attention to the two jars. You notice that it's the same jar. I didn't start with a full jar of roux, and so please don't, if you happen to get your hands on some roux somewhere by the jar, don't put that much roux in there. It's gonna ruin your gumbo. You'll be making a very thick stew. Okay, here we're just dissolving the roux in the water. And this is going to take a few minutes, and you have to stir it, because if you don't, it's and this is on a kind of a medium-high heat, by the way. If you stop stirring it, the roux can stick to the bottom, burn to it, and ruin the whole pot. One more little detail. If you'll note, I'm starting off with a small amount of water, and I'm going to dissolve the roux in the water. The reason I'm doing it this way is that at some point in here it's going to want to kind of foam a little bit, and by doing it, making the water thicker at first, it won't foam up and risk foaming over the top of the pot. The red pepper. I'm just kind of putting a little bit to get going here. Oh, Mela. Yeah, about that much. I'm going to throw in a little bit of black pepper. Yeah, it looks like a lot, but it's not. There's going to be a lot of water in here. And some salt. And that's a rough estimate, and what we'll do later on is we're going to taste test it and figure out where we need to go. Just mostly dissolved, or it's not quite completely done. And there we go, fogging up the lens.
Okay, that's better. Okay, you'll see that the roux here is mostly dissolved. I think there's probably still a little bit in there, and yeah, I think the steam from the pot's going to be a little bit of a problem for us. You see the color? Now, this is not how thick the gumbo is going to be. Obviously, we're going to add more water to this in just a little while. The onions and the bell pepper that I chopped up a little earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and just put that in here. And let it start cooking into the gumbo. And you saw earlier in the start of this that I had some onion tops as well. Now that is, you add that pretty much at the end of the gumbo, along with your parsley and your gumbo filet. You'll see here that it's kind of started to make a little bit of a foam on it. Now, believe me, if we had made this with a lot more water, as it's cooking, this thing would start to foam up a lot. And you could have about that much gumbo in here, and it could foam up over the top. So that's why we start off with it thick like this, and then we'll add water later, after the foaming. Alright, here you see Zatarain's. It's a pure ground gumbo filet. Now, what that really is it's sassafras. But it's something that we use a fair amount of around here. So don't panic if you don't have it. It's a finishing touch. It adds a nice little flavor to the gumbo. Kind of helps thicken it a little bit. It won't kill you to not have it, but if you can find some type of sassafras powder, that'll work for you.
Okay, giving a shout out to Rod's in Church Point. These people make the best smoked sausages that I've had anywhere. There's a lot of different kinds of smoked meats that people like to use in their gumbos. They'll use tasso, some andouille or something. I like to use Rod's hot smoked pork sausage. It tastes fantastic. Additionally, we are going to use some, sometimes we'll call it a green sausage, but basically it's an unsmoked sausage. A chicken sausage. I got one. I made it in this one here. I'm using a chicken sausage with the green onions in it. If I would have had some with the jalapeno peppers in it, that's the preference. It's, oh my God, good.
Add some more water to the gumbo. Then now I'm not making a real big gumbo over here. And I imagine if this is going to be your first gumbo, you probably don't want to make a real big one either. But just give you an idea of the difference of how much more water I've added. And keep in mind, as you cook the gumbo, like here, it's not bad. As you cook it, it's going to get thicker. And so, if it's too thick, I may end up adding a little bit more water to it. We'll see. Okay, here I've got all the sausage, and I forgot to take a picture. I just used a few boneless chicken breasts that I chopped up. It was convenient. It's what I had. That's the thing about a gumbo, and that is that it works good with pretty much whatever you have in the fridge. Now, there are some people that like to brown their chicken before they stick it in their gumbo. for my purposes, I don't usually mess with it. But every once in a while. Okay, we're going to just put this on a medium heat, and we're going to let it do its magic. And we'll just check on it a little while and make sure everything's going good. After the meat's cooked, and it's kind of cooked down a little bit, we can sample the gumbo and kind of get an idea where we're at on our seasonings. Okay, we're making some progress here. It's been cooking for a little while. Come stirred just to show Tracy that I didn't burn my gumbo. Okay. More progress. I can't tell y'all how good this smells. Okay, I just finished testing some of it, and it is coming out excellent. Just put the rice on, and whoops. Didn't mean to zoom like that on you. Now I'm going to leave this here on a low heat and let it continue to kind of cook down a little bit. And just let it do its thing. And now is a good time to go ahead and throw in the onion tops and a little bit of parsley. Parsley coming up. Yeah, I'm putting about that much parsley. I'll take that back. I'm going to add a little bit more. And sometimes I use fresh, sometimes I use dried. It just depends on what I have available. Now, we'll stir that in. Let that simmer a while. Now it's important to understand that a lot of people get to this point in a few little different ways. A little bit of gumbo filet here. Doesn't take a whole lot, and just kind of let that cook in there. And yes, I'm using the backside of a spoon because the jar is pretty small. I can't get a spoon in there. And I'll let that cook in there, and I'll taste it, and if I want to add more, I'll add more, and whatever. That's kind of the thing about a gumbo. And if you'll note how we make it, if you've been paying attention, is that we're not using exact measurements. And so each gumbo is a little different from the last. And we'll get to a point we'll decide which direction we want to take it in. Okay, I'm going to call this done. Now, normally we would have a little potato salad and whatnot to go on the side, but I spent all of my time making the video. But I don't need the potato salad. This is going to be good.
Okay, let's make us a bowl of gumbo. Just put your little bit of rice in the bowl. Add your gumbo, season to taste. A little hot sauce if it's not hot enough for you. Go to town with it. This here is an Acadiana style gumbo, meaning that it's different than the Creole style gumbo, which is kind of the New Orleans area, where they tend to put tomatoes in their gumbo. I'm not a big fan of that. Some people love it, but I grew up here in Acadiana, and this is how we do it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all enjoyed the gumbo, and